NBA Now is presented by Manscaped. Harrison Graham and Chase Sr. with you. Top 25 free agents for 2021. Go to manscaped.com/chat. Get 20% off plus free shipping at checkout. That link will be in the comments and it'll be in the description. So we are going to take a look at some way too early top free agents for next year, and we've broken this down into 3 categories, Chase. We've got unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents, and then free agents with player options, and that is where we're going to start here because I think 2 of the bigger names have player options. That's why we want to start with this category. Kawhi Leonard, clearly if he opts out, he is the top player on the open market.
Business savvy move by him to sign the contract that he did, because you know what he's going to do, Harrison? He's going to opt out. And, hey, if the Celtics go on a little bit of a run, or the Clippers go on a little bit of a run in the NBA playoffs, he's going to opt out of that contract, then he's going to re-sign for more money. Smart move by him. The only way I see Kawhi Leonard leaving is if the Clippers totally flame out in the Western Conference playoffs. That's the only scenario I envision in which Kawhi Leonard leaves LA.
If you're a fan of chaos, root for the Clippers to lose in round
For
1.
real, though.
Will Kawhi re-sign with the Clippers? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let us know what you guys think in the comments. Right now, it looks like he'll opt out and re-sign, but to Chase's point, things can change if the Clippers have an early exit. Chris Paul, the number 2 free agent, he also has a player option. Difference here is he's going to be 36 and his player options for $44.5 million. Something tells me he'll opt that back in, but we did want to include him.
Yeah, why not opt back in to a team that has boatloads of potential and a bunch of young players, and Chris Paul has mastered his role there and probably is enjoying that role because he's not having to score 20 points and dish out 10 assists every single night and shoulder the entire load for the Phoenix Suns. I threw this question out there last week on Twitter. Is Chris Paul underappreciated? Because I think he is. Everywhere the guy goes, he wins, and I understand he hasn't won an NBA championship, but man, what a player.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I completely agree. Next up here, we'll get to some lesser names with player options. Serge Ibaka, a guy who's been in and out of the lineup this year. He is our number 3 free agent with a player option. How about Spencer Dinwiddie, a guy who's been out most of the year? There's been some chatter. He might make it back for the playoffs with Brooklyn. They tried to move him at the deadline, were unable to do so, but a guy who can really score coming off the bench.
Recovering from a partially torn ACL, that injury not expected to linger for a long time, but when Spencer Dinwiddie is right, Harrison, you're looking at a guy who can realistically, for a playoff team, average between 17 and 20 points per game. He has that potential.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Norman Powell, who was traded to the Blazers, he is our number 5 guy who's played really, really well this year. I think he's a guy who's going to look to cash in on the open market. I would expect an opt-out.
Having a career year at 28 years old, and for a month there with the Raptors, he was going off, averaging like 27, 28 points per game. He's cooled off a little bit because he's not getting as many shots with the Trailblazers. I think this is a prime example of a guy who's going to take advantage of the market, his play, opt out, and try to secure the bag elsewhere.
Who is the top NBA free agent this offseason? Go ahead and let us know in the comments. If Kawhi opts out, I think it's pretty clear, but maybe in your answer assume that he doesn't, and let us know who is the top free agent this NBA offseason. Get your votes in. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. NBA Now is presented by Manscaped. Go get the perfect package at manscaped.com/chat. 20% off plus free shipping. You got the Lawnmower 3.0, which is the best men's grooming product out there. It's been a game changer for me. It's been a game changer for Chase, at least. That's what I've heard through the pipeline here.
You're right.
At Chat Sports. The perfect package has all kinds of cool products that comes with it. The Lawnmower 3.0. No razor tug. No razor burn. You're good to go downstairs. When you go home and your wife's in the mood and you are as well, Manscaped is going to make it even better. Manscaped.com/chat. 20% off free shipping. You get the travel bag here. I've been on a couple of trips over the last month. It's great. You throw your deodorant, your toothpaste, your toothbrush, all that stuff. It fits easily, and the most comfortable boxers you will ever wear. Manscaped.com/chat. 20% off, free shipping. Go ahead and take advantage of this deal. That link will be in the comments. It'll also be in the description as well. Go to Manscaped right now. Do it. Manscaped.com/chat. 20% off and free shipping. Let's go to the restricted free agents. We got 10 of these guys here. Unrestricted here. Victor Oladipo with the Miami Heat. He is our top guy here.
couple years ago, I would have been high on Victor Oladipo, but he blew out the quad. He suffered a lot of leg injuries. He just got hurt again with the Miami Heat as he was going up and coming down from a dunk. I think that has severely affected the money that he's going to get on the open market, something to monitor there.
Mike Conley, a guy who's getting older but has played really well here for the Utah Jazz. If I'm him, I've made my money. I am re-signing with Utah and trying to stay in this win-now mode with the Jazz.
The source of heavy criticism last year because he just wasn't playing well for the Utah Jazz. But another year in Quinn Snyder's system has allowed him to thrive. Jazz now the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. If Donovan Mitchell is out for an extended period of time, Mike Conley's going to have to rise up. I'm with you. I think as a veteran, he's already secured the bag and made a bunch of money. Go back to Utah and go where you fit.
How about DeMar DeRozan? I'll be curious to see what his market looks like here. The free agent to be for the San Antonio Spurs has quietly had another really solid season this year for the Spurs. Hit a game winner against Dallas recently. We'll see if he's chasing money or chasing titles this offseason.
A team like the New York Knicks, for our next 2 players here, DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, interests me a lot. Former teammates with the Toronto Raptors. They just didn't have a lot of playoff success together. That's why Masai Ujiri decided to kind of restructure the core there. But I think a team like the New York Knicks could be in play for one of these 2 players because they realize, okay, Tom Thibodeau's our guy. We have RJ Barrett. Julius Randle is one of the best developmental stories in the NBA. If we can add a guy like Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, a veteran who is experienced, could put that team over the edge and seriously make them an interesting contender in the Eastern Conference.
So pick one of these guys. If you're a playoff contending team, who would you rather have? Type DD for DeMar DeRozan, type KL for Kyle Lowry. I would lean Lowry for guard play and defense, but DeRozan is one of the more underrated players in the NBA. So get your votes in, DeRozan or Kyle Lowry. So Andre Drummond, our number 5 guy here, he'll be an interesting name to watch depending on how he plays the rest of the year with the Lakers, Chase.
This guy has made so much money, well over $100 million for his career, and the bulk of that came with the Detroit Pistons and the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is finally tasting what a winning culture is like in Los Angeles. If I'm him, I take the same approach of Mike Conley. Take less money, win championships. You know why? Because that improves your marketability, extends your career a little bit, and you're happy. That's a win-win-win scenario.
A guy on the other end of the spectrum, and Dennis Schroeder, sure, he's enjoying the winning, but we know, at least reportedly, that he turned down 4 years and $80 million. We will see if Schroeder re-ups in L.A. or hits the open market. Something tells me he's going to try and chase the bag.
I think the Lakers took a gamble on him. He averaged around 18 points per game for OKC last year. They thought he was going to be that player and continue to develop. It looks as though that is his ceiling. I think he's more like a 15 points per game guy who's not too efficient from beyond. I wouldn't pay him $80+ million, that's for sure.
Paul Millsap, a crafty veteran, still playing at a high level. The numbers don't jump off the page, but I think he's got value as a high-level defender and a guy who can space the floor.
Especially for a contending team.
Yeah.
If I'm a contending team that just needs one piece, a guy who's experienced, who's savvy, who is cold-blooded, I like Paul Millsap and his toughness.
Tim Hardaway Jr., a guy who's really played well since being traded to the Dallas Mavericks. He's kind of a hot and cold guy, but he can really light it up from 3 when he gets things going. I think he might look to cash in as well. We'll see if he heads back to Dallas. And a guy in a similar ilk, I would say, Evan Fournier. These 2 guys are similar age, similar type of players, guys who can be volume flamethrower 6-man types. We'll see if these guys chase money. I would guess that they would.
These are 2 guys who are straight gunners, and if you were to go into a gymnasium and you saw these 2 guys playing pickup and they were on a heater, you'd be like, wow.
Yes.
The consistency, though, not necessarily there.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Kelly Oubre, he's been very up and down this year, but he's played a lot better as of late with Golden State. There's been some interest that they would like to bring him back. We'll see what his market ends up being. If I'm Golden State, I'm chasing deeper fish than Kelly Oubre.
Really tough spot to be in if you're Bob Myers, because I think Kelly Oubre on the open market is probably going to demand anywhere from $15 to $20 million, especially if you factor in a team like the Houston Rockets, who are desperate for any type of star power. And I'm not going to say that Kelly Oubre is a star, but he's a significant player who could draw some interest. If I'm Golden State, and if he wants $15, $20 million, I think there are better options out there, especially with the additions that you have coming back in Klay Thompson and James Wiseman.
We'll take a look at some of the top restricted free agents in just a moment, but hey, this is why you subscribe, because we're keeping you guys up to date on the latest NBA news, rumors. We're doing fun segments like this, the way too early free agents list for you guys. We'll continue to update that as we go along throughout the rest of the season and, of course, on into the offseason. YouTube.com/ChatSportsTV. We're going to cover the NBA better than anybody here on YouTube, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Let's take a look at the top restricted free agents. John Collins. He's young, he's talented, he can shoot, he can score, he can block shots. He's our top restricted guy.
And he's so young in his early 20s, and what a year it's been for him prior to the season. He turns down a big contract extension from the Atlanta Hawks, and then he's kind of floated on the trade block a little bit. Were the Atlanta Hawks going to trade him? And then he had that rift with Trae Young because he said that Trae Young dominates the ball too much. But then recently reports indicate, hey, John Collins is open to a contract extension with the Atlanta Hawks. I think that's going to be the play.
Lonzo Ball, another player connected to trade rumors, even more so, I would say, than John Collins. Pelicans have a big decision to make on him. They might just say, hey, go see what you can get on the market, and then we'll decide if we want to match or not.
Because of his funky shooting stroke, a lot of people think that Lonzo Ball can't shoot, but he's actually having a career year from beyond the arc, and the volume is there too. He's shooting nearly 40% from three. And look, maybe he's not going to be number 2 overall pick status from the 2017 NBA draft and be a franchise player. Can he be really good, and is he on that trajectory? Possibly.
Jarrett Allen, our next guy here from the Cleveland Cavaliers. The talk is that they're going to keep him regardless, that when they were a part of that crazy trade, the James Harden trade, they like how he's progressed. I think he will be a guy that's there for the long haul.
Brooklyn would absolutely love to still have Jarrett Allen on the roster right now. No, he's not a modern-day big who can shoot threes, but he is a modern-day big in this sense. He is a rim-running, athletic big who can block shots, defend, and he's pretty efficient from down low on the offensive end of the floor. And if you look at the major weakness for the Brooklyn Nets, it's not having a guy like Jarrett Allen. Now, of course, they had to get rid of him in that James Harden trade, and when you have James Harden on the block and you can acquire him and you have to get rid of a guy and it's Jarrett Allen, then you do it. But a lot of teams are huge fans of Jarrett Allen, interested to see what happens with him, because I guarantee you, Harrison, a team's going to offer him a lot of money.
And perhaps more importantly, he's got the best throw since Ben Wallace.
No
so
doubt.
Absolutely keep him in Cleveland. Who is the better restricted free agent? Type JC for John Collins. Type LB for Lonzo Ball. Type JA for Jarrett Allen. Shout out producer Sam for building this graphic on the fly here. It really just depends on your need, right? And what you want. Allen and Collins, different style bigs. Obviously, Lonzo Ball, point guard.
Yeah, power forward, point guard, center. So depending on the need, hey, you make your decision there. Who's the best player with the most upside, who's still so young? John Collins.
Next up is Duncan Robinson, who, hey, he doesn't do a lot of things, but what he does really well is he spaces the floor and can shoot the lights out of it.
Great developmental story for the Miami Heat. Yep. I don't think anybody was able to foresee him becoming the sharpshooter that he has become in his NBA career. And shooters in the modern-day NBA, Harrison, very, very valuable, and that value is only going to increase. Very intriguing name as a restricted free agent.
He is what I thought Nick Stauskas would be.
That's a great comp.
There's no doubt about that. So Duncan Robinson.
Nick Stauskas stinks.
Hey, he's
Duncan Robinson
does not.
Not at all.
He smells great, actually.
Yes.
So next up,
he uses Manscaped.
Lauri Markkanen, who finds himself in a peculiar spot because the Bulls can't really figure out, now that they've traded for Vooch, how does Markkanen fit here? And now looking back at it, you kind of wonder if they should have made a more aggressive move for Lonzo Ball that included Lauri Markkanen.
Yeah, because on NBA trade deadline day, there were some rumblings inside the Bulls front office that they don't see Markkanen and Vooch as a long-term fit.
Yep.
So maybe they just elect to let him walk. That's what I think the Bulls might do.
Yeah, maybe a sign and trade could be on the table. We'll certainly have to wait and see on that front. A few more guys here. Gary Trent Jr., who could be rising up this list, 22 years old. The Raptors acquired him in the Norman Powell trade, and he's playing really, really well for the Tampa Raptors.
I know he's number 6 on our list. I think when it's all said and done, he's going to for sure be top 5. And I can make the argument that he should be top 5 right now. Why is that? Athletic, young, can shoot, can create, and can defend. Gary Trent Jr. is a very good player on a championship-level team.
What, you don't like my list, bro?
I like it. I'm just saying he's going to climb up it.
Gary Trent's playing really well.
Yeah.
He's an exciting young player. There's no doubt about it. He might even be the most underrated free agent this summer, so we'll ask you guys, who do you think is the most underrated free agent? Let us know in the comments. Maybe it's someone we haven't even mentioned or haven't mentioned yet.
Flawless
Get
segue
your votes
there,
in.
Harrison.
Most underrated free agent. Hey, I do what I can. I show up to work and I give a strong effort. So most underrated free agent, let us know. JaMychal Green could be one of those guys. He's been a nice developmental story as well.
Yeah, he has. I mean, he's not quite on a level and path like Jeremy Grant, right?
Yeah.
But JaMychal Green, a guy who gives you positional versatility and can also do a variety of things on the floor, both offensively and defensively as well, and starting to somewhat become a more consistent shooter, which, of course, for big men nowadays has a lot of value.
And Bobby Portis, who's next up, is a guy who has become a good three-point shooter. Seemingly out of nowhere, nice little pickup from Milwaukee. We'll see if they can find a way to keep a guy of his caliber. Obviously, salary is going to be tricky with Giannis' Supermax.
This is obviously our restricted free agent list for 2021. If we were put together a list of guys who have improved their stock this season by signing a short-term contract and betting on themselves, Bobby Portis would be on that list because he's sneakily been really good for the Bucks.
Yeah, he's been a nice story. He's shooting, at one point, it was like over 45% from three. He's really worked on that part of his game. Will Barton, a player who probably would have been top 5 on this list a year ago. He's kind of been up and down. Remember, he was hurt in the bubble last year, was not a part of Denver's playoff run, but a guy who at times has been an elite scorer, both as a starter and as a bench guy. I still think he can be that six-man type of player for a contending team.
Yeah, he's got a good nickname, too. Thriller Will, I mean, he can really thrill you.
Barton.
Now, he's somewhat inconsistent, but Thrill Will, when he's heating up, when he's streaky, really impressive. I almost put him in a Lou Williams category, right? You don't want him being a starter, but as a six-man energizer bunny type of player who can kind of pour it up in bunches, Will Barton is in that category.
Our final restricted free agent, how about Josh Richardson? It's been a really up and down year for him in Dallas. I think the Mavs lost that trade with Seth Curry, quite frankly, but really good defender, can be streaky from three, plays with edge defensively, but that offensive game has been really, really up and down. It hasn't developed as much as he had hoped.
He was a product of the factory that is the Miami Heat. When he was there, it looked as though he was really going to develop into a special player. He goes to Philadelphia in the sign-and trade with Jimmy Butler, and the thought process for Philly was, okay, Josh Richardson's going to kind of give you a similar element that Jimmy Butler is going to give you. No, not at all. Josh Richardson, not quite on that path of the developmental player that we thought he was going to be. He can be a contributor, but my stock on him somewhat low.
He's 3-and-D with inconsistent three. So there you go.
That's a good
when it comes to Josh Richardson. So there's our list. 25 names for top free agents. We'll continue to update that as the weeks and months go along. Name a player you want your team to sign in free agency. A couple of months from now, we'll be breaking it down even further. So get your votes in. Who do you want your favorite team to sign this offseason?